Anti-Afro Svengalis. I have to tell you people, whenever I would hear this whining and crying and belly aching about Albert Lanier, this is the journalist who Max V went on this huge production about canceling. Well, people started complaining about him, and one of the most common gripes that people seem to have, and it really wasn't a whole lot of people, it's the same squeaky wheels whining and crying, or same empty cans. As we know, the empty can makes the most noise. Who does he think he is? He thinks he's better than us. He's disrespectful. Disrespectful. And then they start questioning his race. Although, way back during one of Taz's live streams, about 6 or 7 months ago, he stated his ethnicity. But they keep asking the same question over and over and over again, trying to find something about somebody that they can jump on. Well, I sincerely hope the message isn't, if you have 2 black parents, that automatically certifies you as a protector of other people with 2 black parents, versus someone who's biracial, that they're going to attack people with 2 black parents. Well, at least we have debunked that ridiculous notion. Because we have seen people with 2 black parents do what to other people with 2 black parents? That argument doesn't fly in these YouTube streets. I want to deal with this. I want to talk about this situation, about this so-called cancellation of Al for Max V. Number one, telling someone they're no longer welcome on your panel isn't being canceled, because we know Max V has no credibility. He says it all the time. That's one thing. Number two, where the hell is Max V? How in the hell are you going to cancel somebody when you don't even have... Where is your platform to cancel someone from? Actually, I'm going to go into that in another video. But I want to stick to this issue about what exactly happened with Al in these YouTube streets. What is this all about? I definitely wanted to come here and speak on it because obviously there's some things going on. It's anti-Afro Svengalis. Me. It's my doing. I did it all. It's all my fault. Now listen to this. Try this one on for size. I supposedly have no support. Everybody has jumped up and left anti-Afro Svengalis. And that's really bizarre. Left anti-Afro Svengalis. It just sounds ridiculous. None of my supporters shout me out. They don't say anything nice about me. There's just a few people hanging on by their fingertips. I am losing my mind because I haven't been able to get to Umar Johnson. But somehow I have all this power to be able to what? Get Albert to do whatever I want him to do, or whatever that might be. Why? Just because Max V says it's so? And when you think about someone making statements like that, because we've heard these statements before, that I get people to do this, what they don't recognize is that they are attempting to degrade and denigrate me. They're actually giving me a compliment. Same thing with Al. They are bestowing these special powers upon him, that he is ruining things. So if you say someone is ruining things, you're devaluing your ability to manage the situation. So when people try to set out and trash you, they're so aimless, they don't recognize they're actually elevating you. Number one, by continuing to talk about you. And number two, floating these ridiculous, you have these special powers that make people do this and that. And that is what they did to Al, that he's causing these issues. He's so out of control, they're not able to manage him. So what do they have to do? They have to boot him from the panel. Are you serious, people? That just shows their weakness and inability to effectively deal with the situation. And we know Max avoids everything. He's continuously trying to jump on different sides to see what side will bring him the most attention. But Al was unwilling to go along with that. Al just stayed who he was. And in some parts of these YouTube streets, that's a sin. And I apologize in advance if I'm going to dredge up any negative memories, but many of us are very much aware of what happens after a breakup. It doesn't matter who breaks up, right? What happens when the boyfriend or the girlfriend, I'm going to be discriminatory here, finds out that you have moved on? You get the phone calls, you get the text messages, you get the anger. You never cared about me to begin with. Dot, 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 right? All these accusations because you dare to move on to something bigger and better and more interesting. Or you decided to not do what they expected you to do, which was grovel and beg for reconciliation, to harass people into bringing you back somewhere where you probably should have never been to begin with. And this is what's happening right now, people. Al went off to other panels. Not only the Judge Joe situation, what is he doing over there? Then he goes over to the Smokes panel, and this is when people have lost their mind. What does he think he's doing? What do you think you're doing over there, Al? You are not obeying. See, they expect you to obey everything they say and do. And you have it, believe it or not, a lot easier than we do, the black women, because look how they treated us because we won't obey them. And I'm only speaking to a certain type of individual. There's no way in hell I'm going to broad brush our black men because these very few underbelly examples trying to assert themselves as the status quo when they are not. They are savages, people. Yes, I am calling them savages because I've been on the receiving end of it. No one's going to tell me I cannot label it as savagery and them as savages based on the things that they have done. They have gone for children. No, you're not going to tell me I can't use that title. I will, and I did, and I will continue to use it. So now that I went over to the Smokes channel, the world is caved in. They're completely in tatters. They're enraged. They don't know what to do. These are fantasies that they are playing out in their mind for some odd reason. They think it's supposed to take a stronghold with us here on social media. Who the hell are these people? If you have a relationship with someone that you have developed on social media, it became a friendship, you have a positive exchange with them, there's mutual respect. I can see people having a discussion about an issue and somebody saying, you know what, maybe that's not a good idea, I do that. You're right, I didn't think about it quite like that. But they come barreling in here like they are your slave master. We escaped slavery or were freed from slavery. Our ancestors were, but they want to re-enslave us modern day by literally telling you who you can talk to, who you can give your money to, what pages you can go to, what clips you can post, and they have the nerve to sit here and say that I'm doing this. No, I set the standard for me, my participation, not for everybody else, except when it comes to this space. But people are free to go wherever the heck they want to go. But they think they own Al for some reason. That's very odd. They think they own him and they continue to say he's disrespectful. And why do they say Al was disrespectful? Because he had the interview. And in the interview, he referred to people like Dempsey and the rest of them as bottom feeders. Check out the term bottom feeders. I doubt they even know what the term means. And then he had labeled or called Tiffany disgusting. It's a characterization based on what was observed and what was said. When you have somebody sitting around on a live stream going into the graphic details, intimate, specific details of what two men will be doing, as if, how would she know, during very up close and personal sex acts, every nook and cranny, every second, reciting it, sitting around men, I think that qualifies as disgusting. I don't think she realized she was helping those men get their rocks off that she was talking to. And she just fell right into the role. Is it nice to call somebody disgusting? No, but you're not going to be run out of town if you call somebody like that disgusting who continuously engages in the same behavior. And I thought it was very interesting when you think about those who were criticizing Al, calling him disrespectful. Remember the things they said about other people. These were people who were targeting children and have the nerve to turn around and say Al is calling another adult disgusting and he needs to be canceled for that. Because they've tried this cancellation before, but they don't call out the adults who were targeting children because they were part of that whole group targeting children. Tiffany was one of them. This was so funny that they're calling children abused, saying they are developmentally delayed. They don't have any information about these children's medical records. They don't know their school records. They're just talking all kinds of crap, and they do not care. That is disgusting. So since Al would not move when Max V said move, it was time to try and purge him, acting as though once you leave this panel, you are to forever keep your mouth shut. I don't recall anybody on YouTube signing non-disclosure waivers to go on channels. I mean, would you have the ability to do that? It's not your forum, it's YouTube's forum. They try to dictate so many things outside of the YouTube regulations, and some of these things actually are not legal. I've been reading up. Some of the things that people are trying to do and compel people to do are really counter to YouTube's regulations. The most disappointing aspect of this whole situation is Al didn't listen to them. We have seen what happens when you do not listen to these people. When I say these people with these very unique characteristics, they are pining so hard to become black slave master in control. And the people they want to enslave, they don't want to enslave the white folks who enslaved us. Nope, they don't want to do that. They want to enslave their own people. And if you're unwilling to go along with that, they're going to try to force it on you. We see that this fails time and time again, and it did not work with Al. So now they're worried because they can't control what he's saying or doing. Now they're complaining about what he's actually saying. I think the people who are complaining about what Al is saying have a lot of videos to post about people who they ignored when they were engaging in the crap that they were engaging in. And that includes Max V. So if you're going to criticize Al, let's get those videos posted. How many videos are we owed on Max V and the shit that he has pulled? And you want to sit here and try to target Al with lies, people. They couldn't find anything to tear him up with that was factual, so they made up this Al is in a skilled nursing facility or an assisted living facility, aka was unable to take care of himself. So we found out where he lived. These people are so reckless, not even caring about the fact that they are exposing someone to danger. Whether or not it was Al, they're exposing people to danger. Al came on and stated it wasn't him. But they've given out somebody's address. See how reckless people are? They do not think, and they sit around and have the nerve to think they can criticize other people for simply having an opinion and expressing a view. Expressing a view, giving an opinion is very different from quite possibly criminal behavior. Because if somebody had shown up at that place looking for that individual, they're not going there to give the individual flowers. If they made calls, they're not calling to give that person comfort. They're calling to harass. They are showing up to harass. And that is a very serious issue, but these people do not care about that. This is why the best thing you can do when you're dealing with situations like this, get as much distance as you can away from people who engage in these types of behaviors. Based on what I've seen of Al, I don't think he has any issues defending himself, and people don't realize who are doing this what tools a journalist has at his or her disposal, specifically Al we're talking about, as if he can't call in reinforcements to handle what he needs to handle. That you can just simply come up and just say to people, we're going to do this to you, we're going to subject you to this treatment, and there's nothing you can do about that. What they're struggling with is they keep coming up against people who are saying, no, you will not do this to me. Quite simply, you're used to doing this to a lot of people, apparently not online, but when you're online, You don't know who you're going to come up against. In their own worlds, they know who they can target because they're not doing a very good job online. They have the police involved, local police, the FBI, and I will have to agree with one thing that TCTV stated about the FBI. The FBI can be extremely nasty, and but if that's what you want to do, people, that's what you want to do because you're doing this online. This is where the FBI has jurisdiction. You're doing it. If you can convince people not to defend themselves, you're home free. But you keep coming up against people who are not going to allow you to do this. And I am making it very clear. I'm not relaying any messages from Al. This is a video that I'm doing. So I'm not speaking and saying Al said this, therefore this will happen. I'm just saying you don't know what anybody's going to do when you start messing with people. So if you want to keep messing with people, then be prepared to accept whatever comes down the pike. And I'm talking legally. Nobody's made any threats to do anything to anyone. No one that I'm associating with has made any threats to engage in any illegal behavior in response to what is being done to them. And I have no indication that Al would undertake that approach either. People are going to have to learn the hard way. These people become shocked and surprised when law enforcement is called. Let's make it clear. Speaking to people who engage in these behaviors, it doesn't get through. You have to take it to the next level, which means you have to get those involved who they will listen to. And we know that is going to be the law. I can't speak for Al. I seriously doubt they're going to try to do anything else to him, realizing the reach that he has just as a journalist. But if people are too ignorant to figure that out, they're going to have to learn the hard way. We already have several people who have experienced actual formal sanctions, permanent sanctions. They're under investigation. They have been confronted by the FBI and their local police departments, and you have seen a significant difference in their behavior. But this whole thing about canceling people, then running off and taking down a platform, that's pretty cowardly. If you're going to cancel someone, stand up and state your reasons and stay there and stare it down in the face. Why don't you go over to the smokes panel and confront him there and look at him in the face or speak to him directly and talk about the cancellation? Nothing is stopping Max B from doing that. He's not doing it because that was never his intention to begin with. What he intended to do was to use Al as a scapegoat and use me as a scapegoat. But in order to do that, you have to place Al with me by saying he's an AFW probie. Oh, God, this is so... The limitations in the thinking is so evident. It's pitiful, people. That is all you can come up with? AFW, that is it? You have no other meat and potatoes? You have no other meal to offer the audience but AFW and anti-Afros Bengalis? That is really weak and lame. What kind of argument is that? You are continuing to empower me. I don't need your empowerment, but you are bestowing these powers upon me. You are gracing me with all of these accolades, and you don't mean to do that. You are pumping Al up to the moon, although you say he's a smug jackass. Well, you're giving him reason to be a smug jackass. I don't think there's anything wrong with being smug, but it doesn't really go well with jackass. Smug means you have control of the situation. Look up the definitions. People use these definitions and they don't even know what they're talking about. So smug and jackass cancel each other out. They get so frustrated that they can't control someone, so they start attacking them personally. And people who claim to be in support of the disabled, they claim to be having these group homes where they're helping people who are down and out, and then they're hosting panels where they're laughing at someone that they say has no legs, that's in a wheelchair, that has to go to bed at 6 p.m., and all these other ridiculous, outrageous statements. And let me say one thing. Those of you who are making these statements about people in skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities obviously do not know that people in skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities don't have bedtimes. They're able to go to sleep whenever they get good and ready. They have TVs in their own room. They can come out of the rooms anytime they want. People are ignorant of the facts. A skilled nursing facility is not jail. There are some locked facilities where people have dementia and they tend to leave and they're at risk, so they need supervision. But that's not what we're talking about. They said he was in a skilled facility because he had no legs and he needed someone to care for him. Let's clear something else up. There are people who are in skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities that are young, and that depends on what happens with their medical condition. You can have a catastrophic medical episode that can be from a drug overdose. That can be from a stroke. You can have a stroke at any age. You could have been in a car accident, get a TBI where you can't care for yourself, diabetic coma, diseases that ravage your system. You never know. You can have any sort of medical problem that can render you unable to care for yourself and your family's not able to care for you. It's not just for people who are elderly. So there are people out here who are so confident about being able to place people in certain categories when they could be there tonight or tomorrow or the next day. You never know. People just get beyond it's beyond any sort of, you can't even imagine dealing with people like this in your normal life. Listen, if you encounter people like this in your ordinary day, at least you can get the hell away from them. Here on YouTube, they follow you everywhere. The man left. I don't know if he tried to get back on. He went over to other panels, including the smoke, and now they're pissed at that. So watch, they're going to try to lure him back over to Max V. If Max V ever has the guts to put another live stream up, we will see. But just because Al goes over to Max live stream, who says he can't go elsewhere? This is just really go back to the boyfriend-girlfriend breakup and how they act when the breakup occurs and one of the people moves on. Or even two people move on and one gets very angry, gets very possessive, gets very jealous, gets very demanding. This is how they're treating Al, like they own him, like he's their slave or something. None of us are slaves. We are free people. This is YouTube's platform, but people tend to forget. You don't run the show here. You don't tell people where they can go. What you can do is control what happens on the channel that you're managing. And that is the extent of it, people. This is very embarrassing for people who claim to be adults and claim to be running something. They're running nothing but their mouths. Let this be a learning achievement for you, because people who support this channel can't even vision themselves getting wrapped up in a situation where somebody is literally telling them what they can say, where they can go, who they can talk to, although they try their hardest to place that on me. By and large, we know these people are just desperate to find answers. They don't know how to act like mature adults. They don't know how to engage people, to broker agreements, to negotiate, to settle conflicts. So they go for this outrageous crap, like people being in skilled facilities, having relationships with gay men and they're married, being whores and drug dealers, and was a Columbia cartel, and of course saying that I'm a criminal organization, all this crap, because they're weak and they cannot defend themselves with any sort of self-respect. They're trying to pull you down in the gutter with them. Just step over the gutter and keep it moving, people. These people don't control Al. They don't control you. They don't control me. And most of all, they don't control the benefits that you will receive if you heed the warning. Buyer beware.